Had your son ever spoken like about hurting the teacher, or was there anything like any angst that he had against her?
No, he actually really liked her.
What the fuck? He shot her. Today, we're going to be talking about a 6-year-old school shooter and who's responsible for this tragedy. We all know that school shootings have become way more commonplace in today's culture. However, that does not take away from the heinousness of these tragic events when they happen. When a tragedy like this takes place, it affects things on so many levels. You got the kids who are victims of the school shooter, you got the school shooter themselves, and then you got the community that surrounds these circumstances. I mean, this shit has to have huge psychological effects on people. Now, as Black folks, when we hear school shooter in the headline, I'm sure that we all assume this is some white kid from middle America, probably nerdy and socially awkward, looking to get some type of revenge on people. And that is exactly why you can't generalize and go off stereotypes, because you'll never see something like this coming. The school shooter that we talking about today is not only a very young child, but he happens to be an African-American child. That shit caught my attention off the rip because we're not really used to seeing Black kids take it this far. I need a favor before we start getting into this video. I need y'all to take it easy down in the comments. Look, get y'all shit off, but remember, we are talking about a child, so let's keep it respectful, all right?
School shootings in the U.S. are no longer a rarity. What happened at this Virginia elementary school in January was shocking. The shooter was only 6 years old. The victim, his 25-year-old teacher, Abigail Werner. Despite being shot, she managed to get all of her students to safety.
They said that she got shot twice, and she was still able to get all the kids to safety. Yo, that right there speaks to her level of dedication to those kids and her bravery to be shot multiple times. And the first thing you thinking about is making sure that these kids get to safety. Yo, we got to commend her.
Amid the ongoing criminal and civil cases, the family of the first grader who shot his teacher has remained quiet until now.
Let me interject real quick and let y'all know who everybody is in this picture. So obviously the mother is in white. She's sitting in the middle. And then to her right is the grandfather. Now, originally, I thought that was the father, but then I thought about it and I said, yo, this man look a little bit too old to be dealing with a girl this young, but you never know. So I did a little bit of research and found out that that is the grandfather. Dad's not around. What a fucking surprise. Now, to her left is her attorney.
Shortly after the shooting, the family released a statement saying, "Our son suffers from an acute disability and was under a care plan at the school that included his mother or father accompanying him to class every day. The week of the shooting was the first week when we were not in class with him." What can you tell us?
Now, yo, that's crazy. I don't know if that's coincidence or if Lil Man was just waiting for an opportunity to turn the fuck back up. What are the chances that they had to be in class with this little kid because of his behavior already? They decided for whatever reason at that time that would no longer be a requirement. And the first day that those restrictions was lifted, he went to school and shot his fucking teacher.
Specifically about your son's disability.
So he has ADHD. Some are able to have it at a very mild rate, but he's off the wall, doesn't sit still ever.
And why did the school?
Now, I ain't no professional or nothing. I've never been around somebody that had ADHD and they turned violent. So that's a shock to me.
School decide that it was no longer necessary for the family to be in class?
He had started medication and he was meeting his goals academically.
Had your son ever spoken like about hurting the teacher, or was there anything like any angst that he had against her?
No, he actually really liked her. I will say that week.
What the fuck? He shot her. How did he really like her? I'm trying to figure out if she just trying to cover for her son. I'm sure that wasn't their first altercation. I mean, just the simple fact alone that a parent had to be in the classroom with this young man should speak to the fact that he was probably already uncontrollable and causing chaos in that classroom.
He did come home and he was talking, a lot about how he felt like he was being ignored. So he would come home and, "Mom, I don't think that she was listening to me. I didn't like that." And then actually he ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something. And she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up. He said, "Fine." And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident. And he got suspended for that.
That don't sound right to me. I just kind of feel like the way that this story is going, mom is doing her best job to humanize her son and to soften his image, which I totally understand to a certain extent because this is a 6-year-old.
Werner did not respond to ABC News' request for comment, but in a lawsuit, she says the student slammed the cell phone on the ground so hard that it cracked and shattered. She's now filed a $40 million lawsuit against the Newport News School District and Rich Neck Elementary officials.
Okay, now I'm gonna choose to believe the teacher and say that that young man probably did take that lady phone and slam it on the floor. Ultimately, how can we give him the benefit of the doubt when he shot her ass? Can we not see him taking her phone and smashing that shit on the ground?
Claiming they ignored multiple warnings about the student's behavior and concerns that he had a gun. According to the suit, the child had a history of random violence and that he attacked students and teachers alike, both in and out of school.
I hope this ain't moving too fast, and I hope that y'all catching this. Look at what this statement says. The school officials ignored multiple warnings about the student's behavior and concerns he had a gun. So this young man had to already be threatening the teacher or at least mentioning the fact that he had a gun prior to this even happening. If they were ignoring it, that means that she made them aware. So what was the school district, the school board, and the school officials doing about it?
Is that description accurate?
Whether it is or it isn't, the school enrolled him in September knowing all of the past behaviors.
The school district.
Now, look, I'm going to have to agree with the lawyer on that take only because, yes, if the school knew that this young man was already a violent individual, they should have probably sent this little boy to an alternative school. That would have probably helped them a whole lot better. The staff would have been more equipped to handle a child like this.
District released a statement to ABC News saying it cannot release information about a student's educational record. And last month, the district filed to dismiss Werner's suit, arguing her injuries fall under workers' compensation.
Ain't no fucking way. Bruh, if I'm a teacher and I get shot at work, matter of fact, if I'm at any job and I get shot at work, that's not a workers' comp claim. I'm suing every fucking body. You get a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit. Fuck y'all talking about?
The gun used in the shooting was legally purchased by Taylor. She says it was kept locked away. Her attorney would not say how the 6-year-old got it. How did your son access the gun?
Nobody knows.
No one knows. Let me just.
Bullshit. They must have paid him some good bread because he talking about don't nobody know how the little boy got a gun. How?
Ask this, and I'll direct it to you, Jimmy. Is it that no one has asked him how he got it, or you're just not ready to reveal how he got it?
We're
Very
not
good
ready
question.
to discuss that at
Oh,
this
okay.
point. Yes, people have talked to him about that. I don't know that any adult knows exactly how he got the gun.
If that nigga hadn't lied, he lied.
Hell no, y'all. Yo, I don't trust this lawyer, yo. His whole demeanor is off. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Now, I know he got a job to do, but yo, nothing about this man says trustworthy. Let's bring this back real quick.
Is it that no one has asked him how he got it, or you're just not ready to reveal how he got it?
We're not ready to discuss that at
Oh,
this
okay.
point.
Like, what's funny? I'm so confused.
Was the gun locked somewhere? It was locked somewhere.
I think that she's trying to avoid felony charges for leaving that gun out in an open place for that little boy to be able to take it to school. There's no way do I believe that he got her keys, went and got it out of this safe place, and then he put it in his bag and took it to school and shot the teacher. He did all of this without her knowing. Come on, something about this does say lack of supervision. I gotta call a spade a spade.
With a felony count of child neglect and a misdemeanor count of recklessly leaving a firearm as to endanger a child. Her trial is set for August. Do you feel?
Yeah, so there you go. She about to go on trial for this right now. So that's why she's saying that the gun was locked away. But we all know that that don't really make sense.
Do you feel in any way responsible for the shooting?
Yes, of course. That is my son. So I am, as a parent, obviously willing to take responsibility for him because he can't take responsibility for himself.
Anything?
Yo, now kudos to her because at least she did take accountability. I respect that, sis. That was the best thing that you could do in a situation like this because ultimately at the end of the day, that is your son and that was your gun. Somehow, some way he was able to gain possession of that gun and go to school and hurt somebody.
anything that either of you would like to say to Abigail Werner?
I just truly would like to apologize that, out of the incident, she did get hurt.
All right, now look, y'all, it's multiple red flags throughout this whole story. Number one, how did little man gain access to the gun? She had to have left it out in a place where he could easily access it. Then the fact that she didn't even notice that the gun was gone speaks volumes. Number two, where's this young man's father? I'm sure that not having a father figure inside of that household gotta be having an effect on this young man. I'm gonna just give her the benefit of the doubt and assume that she's overwhelmed with trying to take care of her son by herself. Now, ultimately, I feel like it's a much bigger issue at hand. These teachers are in a classroom dealing with 25 to 30 kids at a time. Most of these teachers do not have an assistant. And if you paid attention to the storyline, the young man said that he felt like he was being ignored a couple days before he actually went and did this shooting. Now, this young man is already a problem in the classroom. So when he got up to come talk to her, maybe she was dealing with other things in the classroom and said, listen, have a seat. I'll get to you in a second. But if there was an assistant in the class to help deal with situations like this, maybe he could have got the attention that he needed at that particular time. The way that these school boards, school districts, and school officials ignore their teachers and blatantly throw them under the bus, they leave teachers to fend for themselves on an everyday basis, dealing with chaotic classrooms and children with behavioral issues. Another point that I want to make about the mother is we're not going to harp on her too much, because ultimately at the end of the day, she was trying to get help for her son. If y'all paid attention, they said that he was on medication and he was seeing a therapist, and he was also hitting his goals, which is why they lifted that requirement of a parent having to be present in the classroom with him at all times. So I can't say that she was all the way neglectful. You feel me? And that's all the tough love I got for today. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.